Welcome to the August 24th edition of the PFF Forecast. I'm George. I'm joined by my dear friend, the doctor. Not often do you see a doctor with a glow like Eric's and an acid wash shirt. He is embodying Mad Professor today, except one that lives on the West Coast. It's going to be a great podcast. We're going to talk about whether Tom Brady got a glow in his vacation, apparently, is what he was on. So I guess we were all wrong. He is back in action. We're going to talk a little bit about the Kayvon Thibeodeaux injury, the Panthers naming Baker Mayfield starting quarterback, and some of the other news. I am going to make Eric talk about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation as well, and we are going to be blessed with some preseason week 3 bets. Let's rock. So, as a father, you are capable of speaking on this. I can't. I'm not allowed to comment. But as a man with children and a wife, how do you react to Tom Brady leaving his teammates on an island, or a peninsula maybe, to go on a vacation with his family in the lead up to the season? Your reaction?
I think it was pre-planned, so I think that matters. I know when you and I decided to move to Cincinnati, this great city, this great metropolis, I had a number of things planned beforehand. So I pushed my start date at PFF back. I mean, I went to LA. I went to a wedding in Los Angeles. I got to taste the sweet nectar of life there. And, Brady probably, when he retired, put a bunch of things on the list, right? And, I know you have a long-term girlfriend. I have a wife of 11 years. You have to – I mean, you can't – you're kind of a prick if you retire, say, I want to spend time with my family, book all these trips, and then you're like, honey, can I come back? I guarantee you it was on condition of, hey, we're going to take the kids. We're going to take Bridget Monahan's kid too. We're going to all go to this this resort island for a little bit, and fuck the Bucks. What are the he's got people are mad at him. I'm like, dude, he's used, we all have leverage in life, and if you can't use it, then what is it good for? So he had leverage over Tampa Bay. I mean, would Tampa Bay fans rather he be fully committed versus having fucking Kyle Trask starting at quarterback for them?
Okay. I appreciate your perspective as a man with a family who once went to a wedding in LA. This is very much like Bill Simmons talking to me about basketball injuries, because he once had one similar. Bless his heart.
ACL, yeah.
And guilty. I've done that before. But I'm not buying that. Okay. So if it was pre-planned, why the secrecy? Why not announce it when he came back? Why not say, hey, look? Because guess what? If he had announced it when he came back, he had said, look, guys, I'm back. But here's the deal. I was retired and I planned a trip to the Bahamas. And the only reason I'm able to come back is because my benevolent, wonderful, gracious, charitable, beautiful supermodel wife said, look, honey, you can go back, but we're taking that vacation to the Bahamas that you promised. And we're doing it August, 15th through the 22nd, whatever the hell that was. Does that, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, but I also don't believe that it made sense, given it was planned, conditional on that was planned. The probability that you keep it a secret and say nothing about it until he returns is interesting to me.
Right. But at the same time, though, right?
It's compelling.
We have a problem in this country at time. I'm just gonna stop there. But we have a problem in this country of a lack of empathy, a lack of. I mean, we have envy is the big thing, right? I know, dude, I know you don't read the comments to this podcast as much as I do, but like there are people who are like who like don't like you because you have broad shoulders, George, right? Like, and the very act of wearing a tank top pisses them off. They're like, I think what Brady is trying to do, and maybe he failed, right? Maybe he failed, but there is a big part. Like anytime there's labor disputes in sports, where do the fans go? They like side with the owners. He's like, oh, these punks, they want more, blah, 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 blah. Like, I think, and whether he failed or not, I'm trying to understand it from his perspective. I think Brady was like, look, if I tell these people that I'm going on vacation with my family and I had it previously planned, there are going to be a number of people who are like, eh. Like, think about every single player that holds out now or holds in or whatever. There is a small fan base that's like, you signed a contract, you know? And like, I think Brady is like, is just like trying to avoid that. And maybe look, and I'm not saying he did it the best way or this was the best way to go about it, but I guarantee you that like if what was reported was the truth, what went through his mind was it looks bad if I say I'm committed to this team and then I take 2 weeks off, right? When in reality, like it's probably fine. I mean, Brady has leverage over Tampa, but what is Tampa Bay going to do?
Oh, nothing. But well, all you said is completely correct. The lack of empathy, which I heard you can cure with ayahuasca, which is
I thought you could cure it with more pliability.
Well, that too.
My tendons more moist. It leads to more empathy on my part.
So you're right. Like that's the thing. I agree with you 100%. My reasoning is all around. That is the case. And the thing is, like, I guess, why are you waiting to tell people now when it's going to be a story regardless? And why do you want it to show up this close to the season? Like, wouldn't you prefer the outrage occur when he comes back out of retirement and then everyone knows this is happening and it's chilled out by now?
Isn't it a combination of things? Like training camp sucks. Training camp sucks for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So he probably was like, oh no, I scheduled this trip and oh my gosh, it was during training camp. And then reasonable people are like, oh, he was serious when he said he wanted to spend time with his family. And like, of course he has all the money in the world and his wife has more money than he does. He could have moved it to a different time. He doesn't have to. That's the point. And I think waving that in our faces is probably something he wanted to avoid, right? Like, I think that's the whole, like, just because you can doesn't mean you should kind of thing. And I think that for him, it was sort of like this awkward thing where he wanted to sit out training camp because training camp sucks. Remember when he initially retired, one of the reasons we gave was, back when he was with the Patriots, it was a 16-game schedule. And every single year there were 2 byes, and he got one of those byes from every year from 2010 to 2018. And now the season's 17 games, 18 weeks long, and only one team gets a bye. So Brady on average is probably playing 1.8 more games per year than normal. And the guy's just like, look, I'll come back, but I don't want to do training camp. And I think that that's perfectly fine, right? Like, and he uses his trip as an excuse, but that's just going to rub some people the wrong way, right? People who view football players who are like, oh, my job as a truck driver is somehow offended by this quarterback who doesn't work 80 hours. Like that viewpoint permeates fandom in the NFL, right? Like that viewpoint is real.
Yeah.
That's my saying. Like, that's where I see it. I just see it as like he wanted to take summer training camp off. Mm-hmm. He had a trip planned. It's the trip, is spending time with his family. Like he's killing 2 birds, and he obviously could have gotten out of it, but why would he? Why would he? And the explanation was kind of jumbled because there isn't a good explanation other than I wanted to take time off. I can. No one else in the league can, and I did it.
I guess the argument would be I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, so I decided not to mention it, and then I realized that it was going to be a big deal, and so now I'm mentioning it. I think that's the only real explanation. Yeah. I just think Brady's too smart. Brady is so calculated. That's the thing. If this were Aaron Rodgers, I'd get it because you probably forgot, And by the way, I don't think Brady's the only guy that could do it. Like I think Aaron Donald could do it. I think Aaron Rodgers could do it. I think Matthew Stafford could do it. I think Jimmy G could do it. I'm kidding. Yeah, although he did it anyways.
Jimmy.
But I just think he's too calculated. I mean, I'm not saying there's some like he did anything illegal or did something wrong. I'm just saying my belief is that it was something that he did not want people to know about. I still believe that my thought on what it could have been, which is that his mother is not doing well and he wanted to spend time with her, it could have been the reason. And that there's a real reason you obviously don't want to bring the light to that. You don't want added attention. You don't want them getting phone calls from reporters. You want to make sure that's not the story. So I actually think that's what it is. I think Brady's too calculated. Anyways,
was it that big? Like, I think weirdly in hindsight, was it that big of a deal? Probably not. Like, I think
it wasn't, but it turned into
one because of the length of the absence.
Exactly. Okay, before we get on to the next thing, and it's going to be a great thing because we're either going to be talking about Baker Mayfield, Jimmy G, or Kayvon Thibeodeaux, so you want to stick around. But before we get there, a quick reminder on PFF.com right now. PFF Plus is live. Green line, NFL betting dashboards, player props, NCAA, college football player dashboard, betting dashboards for spreads, totals, and money lines. They're live. Our new fantasy experience is live. All of our content live. And guess what? More stuff is coming. So you'll want to get to PFF.com. Get yourself PFF Plus. It's only $79.99. It's $1.54 per week for an entire year of the best football content on the planet. Promo code FORECAST, FORECAST, gets you 25% off right now. Or you can get it by month, $9.99. But if you sign up for a full year, you get a free week. So go check that out. And when you do, you'll have all of the ammunition you need to go to Underdog Fantasy and get yourself in the best ball game with promo code PFF. When you deposit at Best Ball Fantasy, they will match up to your first $100 when you use promo code PFF. By the way, if you spend $10, they'll actually give you a free PFF subscription. So something to consider there. And you can then enter Best Ball Mania, where you can play for a shot at your slice of $10 million. So go to underdogfantasy.com or the app and play some best ball. You don't have to make any of those stupid in-season decisions. Okay.
Can I pause for a sec?
No.
Just to talk briefly about, you mentioned something, and I do believe we are going to provide some content vis-a-vis college player props this year, whether that be tweets or TikToks or even an article on the website. We will. So here's the thing. And this is, this George and I are here to help you navigate. George and I are here to help you navigate the dark and, Titanic inducing waters of betting. My colleague, our friend Ben Brown, lives in Iowa. College player props are not available in Iowa. That was one of the reasons he wanted to move to Iowa, is because Iowa had legal sports betting. There are some places where player props are not legal. They're legal in the great state of Indiana. Saturday mornings are going to be the place. I'm going to post up. I'm going to look at the player props. We have a model that's internal. I think eventually we'll have it on the website, and we will give the people what they want. There will be some player props for college football that are available. Go to PFF.com. Download the FF app, and there will be some fruit available to you for college player props. And that's, again, if you don't want to just take the buffet of 60 games that day and do as many of our friends have done, which is print money the last couple of years on NCAA Green Line.
We want you to print money. That's what we're here for. That's our new slogan. The printing press. Is that our
George Gutenberg Shahuri?
Are we just all members of the printing press?
That's what. Okay, I back up. I think that's the new name for the group.
Oh, wow.
The printing press.
Okay.
I'm a member of the printing press.
Members of the press.
We call them Gooties, maybe, like Gutenberg, and then the printing press. I think we got to put that. We got to put that back. But that to me is the name, right?
Esteemed members.
It can't be Illuminati.
Nazi.
That's too close. It's too close to some offensive words, names, descriptions of people. But the memories also. But the printing press, I think, is the new name.
I'm here for it. Let's try it on and see how it feels. Our esteemed members. editors in chief here of the printing press and our esteemed colleagues. That's great. I'm excited about that. And I've forgotten, you have brightened my day by reminding me that is going to be content that we're going to have on PFF. And you alluded to another platform that maybe if you go check out, you might be able to find before any others do. So, just a hint there, but very exciting, very, very exciting, because if we've learned anything over the past couple of years, I think there are two really salient things. And I was talking to some folks about betting yesterday, actually, and they were like, we're betting this, like, what should we be doing? And someone was like, I'm going to Vegas and I'm going to, give me some bets because I want to go play some futures. I was like, don't bet any futures. Like, go play some week 1 or some college football bets. They're like, okay, which ones? And I was like, honestly, just bet player prop unders. And like, if there's one thing that people are not doing that they should be doing, it is betting unders on player props. And I can only imagine, you got to think that for college, that's going to be the case again too, right?
Yeah, well, and there's the one, and I don't know if books properly price this in, but we certainly I think do. And like, just to give you guys a little bit of background, we normally use our model for college DFS. That has returned a decent amount. Ben Brown and I have won the $50,000 prize once, run a couple $10,000 ones. But now we're turning it into player props because those are available. And player props are just so much more straightforward for people, right? Like, I know we're not really a fantasy podcast. We kind of came late to the sports analytics scene. DFS is pretty sharp. And to explain game theory to people is really tough, right? We have experts to do that. We had Josh Hermsmeyer on the show a week ago today. Like, those are the folks you want to listen to if you're going to talk. But player props are just so clean, right? If you have a gauge on Bryce Young for a game, you think he's going to blow up, or you think they're going to play a half and they're going to be up 40-0, and it's going to be all through the run game, you should bet his under. Like, it's so much cleaner than being like, oh, Bryce Young in conjunction with the running back for so-and-so. And like, I actually was just preparing for the DFS slate this week a couple hours ago when I had no power in my house. And you don't even know who the starting quarterback is for some of these college teams. They don't have injury reports. So the DFS world is a little grimier in college football. Player props are cleaner. It's one pick, and you can kind of watch a game with that one pick, assuming you don't like a side or total in the game. That's kind of why I think we're gravitating that way, both in the NFL and college.
No, you're dead on. Real quick, the Kayvon Thibeodeaux hit. I don't want to talk about it a bunch because, thankfully he's not like super injured. But you played football, and most notably, you played tight end.
I did.
And at first, and this is not surprising, everyone on social media had a complete conniption when they saw it as the dirtiest hit of all time. Everyone was very, very angry about it. And then, of course, you could kind of tell it was coming. And everyone that has played football was like, whoa, hold up a sec. This was one of the worst. Like, Kayvon Thibeodeaux did not play this correctly. This is a textbook block, all those things. So now you can speak with authority for a second time today as a man that has played the tight end position. Was that a dirty hit or a dirty block?
It wasn't. No. I mean, the hard part is, like, I have such a funny experience because I was a wide receiver in high school. I was a big wide receiver, and every block I made was up high. And my first ever career start at tight end, I was, for some reason, they gave us a front where I had the 6-eye, which for those who are, that's an inside shade of the tight end. And generally speaking, especially now where most tight ends are just glorified wideouts, if you have to block a player who has an inside shade on you, who's a defensive end, you are at a physical mismatch, right? And so I was asked to and my first ever cut block in my entire life happened in a game. And you try your best to sort of like, telegraph it for the players so that they're not like, they don't get injured. But the tight end did that for Thibeodeaux. He just like took it on. But I will say I've had 2 concussions in my career. One of them was in high school. One of them was in college. The one I got in college was in practice on that exact same like Y wham across the formation against an unblocked defensive end. Because what you do is you leave that defensive end unblocked and you bring the tight end over and crack him, or you wham. It's a wham when it's inside out. And I got a concussion on that play. Like, if you take the guy on high and you are 240 pounds versus 270, you're going to get in. The tight end's going to get injured, right? And so, and again, I got called for a 15-yard penalty from doing a cut block on a middle linebacker coming outside in, because that is illegal. If you come outside in and I actually tripped and fell and the guy rolled over me. It was an unlucky play for me. Like, I wasn't trying to be dirty, but there are rules against cut blocking players when they can't see you. When you can see them, just like Thibeodeaux did, when you are coming inside out on a block, you can cut players. You can't cut players on returns, like punt or kickoff or interceptions. Either side of the ball can't cut. You can't cut outside in. So if you're a wide receiver coming in to crack a defensive end, you can't go low, right? Because they can't see you. But inside out is a tool that a smaller player, like a fullback or a tight end, has to block a player who is as athletic as they are, but bigger, like a defensive end. And that is a play that you are allowed to do. Now, it sucks because it looks terrible, but it's a legal play, and Thibeadeaux has to be ready for it. And ultimately, you come back and say football's a violent game. Football's a violent game. And if the league doesn't want to have those hits, then they have to outlaw them. But you are going to lose a significant amount of the run game if you do that.
I have nothing to add because I didn't play tight end. So I'm just going to agree with you and move on to the next topic of conversation, which is much more interesting and has some betting opportunities aligned with it. Baker Mayfield starting for the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are -1.5 at home playing against Cleveland. Of course, that's noteworthy because Baker, as some of you may know, was picked by Cleveland number 1. And they said, instead of you, we'd like a guy that assaults innocent massage therapists at a ridiculous degree to come start for us. And we're actually going to pay him the most money ever paid to someone in the NFL in a guaranteed way. And that's how much we hate you, Baker Mayfield. So if you're thinking about a chip on the shoulder, this is about as big of a one as there is that exists. The Panthers are a favorite, 1.5 point favorite at home, as I mentioned, total of 41.5. So I guess my question to you is, first, do you see a play on this opener that you like? And otherwise, is there like a way that you are betting the Panthers now, given that you have this information?
I do think I was on an under to the Panthers when they signed Mayfield. I quickly bought off. So I think the Panthers could be bad. And I think if you think that they're going to be bad, the bet to make is Matt Rule, first coach fired. I have not made that bet. I am not misanthropic enough, I think, to make that bet, even though I think it might have value. I think it's Browns or nothing in this game. Like, I don't like for everything. And I think it's interesting. We have to take a step back. I think Stefanski and Barry, they're going to get a lot of press, and they should, like, negatively, because of this, whole thing. And I believe personally that the Haslams are in the reason this all went pear-shaped, but they were along for the ride, so they deserve something. Be that as it may, that Browns roster and that Browns coaching staff are very good, right? Like, from player 2 to 53, the Browns are as good as anybody. And at head coach, I mean, we're talking about 2 years ago, the guy won Coach of the Year. So Jacoby Brissett has, took an Indy team to a 6-3 start, 6-2 start a couple of years ago. I think Cleveland should not be underdogs against bad teams like Carolina, even with Jacoby Brissett. That's my take. I don't know if I can bring myself to bet Cleveland, but I'm not going to fade Cleveland out of spite for them, because I think that that's a way to lose money.
So yes, except it is Cleveland. And this place has about as bad karma. I mean, as you can imagine, like, I don't know if people have been on social media, they've seen there are all these pictures floating around of people who are rocking Deshaun Watson jerseys and holding up signs that are just freaking ridiculous. So they don't have a lot of good juju, but I agree with you. The Browns are a better team at basically every position. Amari Cooper is going to cook CJ Henderson. And to your point, Jacoby Brissett, I mean, he's a very good backup. I think we're expecting Baker Mayfield to be good because he's not injured. But that expectation, given that new offense and new team, going against a team that has seen him play every single day for the past 3 years, and with Myles Garrett facing a rookie in Ike Ekwonu, I mean, also 1.5, you're not getting through 8. Total 41.5, though, is low. I don't hate going, teasing this. Maybe it gets out to 2, and you can get to 8. I think the plays that I would prefer would be potentially an Amari Cooper player prop, or a sack player prop with, or just a total sacks prop with Myles Garrett, looking at what those are when they come out. But I'm in alignment with you. Does Baker Mayfield keep the job the whole season?
Oh, yeah, of course. Who's there going to take his spot? Philip Walker, I watched him, and look, I love Matt Corral, Liz Frank injury. He's out for the year. That's an IR.
That's right. I know.
Yeah, like, so.
I know.
And I look, I love the AAF. I love the XFL. I love the USFL. There's a place in my big heart for this. Philip Walker's ass. And I watched an entire preseason game trying like with teasers, with bets. I mean, the Patriots were 7-point favorites in a preseason game, and Philip Walker fumbled touchdown in the back of the end zone to lose that bet for the whole printing press. He lost that bet. And he sucks. So he's not. And Sam Darnold is horrible. I remember our friend Peter King, the venerable one. I think he's in town this week for a party for us. The venerable one, after week 3, texted me and said, "Hey, Eric, can you give me the skinny on why Sam Darnold is good now?" And I remember texting him back and be like, and I wish my brother in Christ was actually like a thing back then, but I would have told him, my brother in Christ, he's not. Okay. They're running more play action. They're playing the Texans. They're playing the Jets. They're not like they played a New Orleans team in week 2 that was like hurricane stricken, right? And like they were like working out of Jacksonville, which, as somebody who works out of Cincinnati, even I'll say isn't great. And so Darnold sucks. So like Baker's the only good quarterback on this team. So he's playing the whole year. Like, don't you think? I mean, unless he gets injured, he's playing the whole year.
I tend to agree.
There's no way Matt Rule is waking up on that smock and he's saying, look, I'm going to go to Sam Darnold. I think he gives us a better chance to win. There is no chance.
And do you think that he is the quarterback in Carolina next year?
No. There's no with a quarterback like Mayfield, given the economics of the league, there is no good reason to have Mayfield. Like, Mayfield is a 1-year starter for his team, and then for the next team, and for the next team, and for the next team. Like, people have learned from like the Carson Wentz thing, right? Where it's just like, if his original team didn't want him, his original team building all the strictures and structures in place for him to have success, then this rando team that needs a quarterback is not going to be able to build, right? Like, this is not Stafford. This is Mayfield coming off of a horrendous year. A, I don't know if Rule's going to be the coach there for very long, and then B, I don't think the new coach is going to come in and be like, give me Baker Mayfield, $18 million a year. Like, well, and he's not going to take $18 million. If Baker Mayfield plays well enough to earn the starting spot in Carolina for years to come is going to be expensive. And I don't think another coach is going to come in and be like, oh, yeah, Baker Mayfield, $30 million a year. Let's go. I think it's a one-year thing.
I agree. Before we move on to another one-year wonder and Yimmy G, get ready for the NFL Week 1. I mean, hopefully you've been getting ready this whole time. But DraftKings Sportsbook, the unofficial sports partner of the NFL, is here to help you out. Bet only $5 on any football game and get $200 of free bets instantly, which I suggest you place on player props and probably on unders using promo code PFF when you sign up. And now everyone can gain the experience of the thrill of DraftKings with the early win promotion. Get up to 7, you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if the team ends up losing. They're doing everything to help you out. Okay, so go take advantage of it. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF, as I said, and get $200 in free bets instantaneously when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's promo code PFF, in case I didn't mention it already, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Again, we know that Missouri has some weird laws. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. I believe that's on Eric's favorites. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. One per new customer, minimum $5 deposit and wager, $200 issued in 8 $25 free bets. I love how long the conditions are becoming.
I'm more of a 1-800-9 with it guy, but
I mean, that is HOPE-NY. I need to know. We need some SNL skits on what the HOPE-NY text line looks like. That's just.
I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about a stand-up routine where I make fun of ads on podcasts. Like, I feel like you could fill 15 minutes.
Oh no.
Of stand-up comedy on that.
Yeah, I think so. I think you could. By the way, one of our newest partners, Symbol, is revolutionizing the world of sports betting and fan engagement by making sports fandom profitable. The company is Symbol, the stock market for sports. Symbol was a PFF sponsor last year, and they're back. Symbol lets you trade pro and college teams like stocks, even earn cash dividend payouts when your teams win. Symbol took the thrill of sports betting and combined it with the stock market to give you a platform where fortune favors the fan. Very important that it's different than crypto.com, where fortune favors the brave or bold or whatever the hell it is. Call to action, which I'm not supposed to read, but I'm literally reading these verbatim. Download the Symbol mobile app for iOS by searching SIMBULL in the App Store and use code FORECAST, FORECAST, to receive a free team stock valued at up to $100 just when you sign up. The PFF team is even going to get in the Symbol market themselves. We'll let you know which stocks or teams we are buying. Obviously, you can listen to the podcast and figure that out yourself. Promo code FORECAST to get a free stock valued at $150 and compete with us against the market at Symbol, SIMBULL. Eric. Jimmy G, what do you make of the current situation with Jimmy G? A lot of stuff has come out about how he might not be as stand-up of a human being and a teammate as maybe some had thought. He's obviously still, on the Niners. How do you foresee this playing out?
I have a lot of empathy for somebody who is
empathizer.
I have empathy for Jimmy G because I think if you peeled the curtain back on a lot of these quarterbacks' lives, you get a little bit of messy stuff, right? I don't know why the Niners are leaking this when they're trying to get rid of him, but I also think maybe they're trying to justify getting rid of a quarterback who's taken them to 2 NFC title games and within 7 minutes of a Super Bowl title for a guy who has largely struggled in camp, from what I've heard. That's what I make of it. I think they were had to be pissed off that Zach Wilson's ACL is intact, unfortunately, because I think Jimmy G would be a Jet if Wilson was out for the year. They're probably just waiting for a team to get desperate, and who knows? I would imagine at some point they're just going to cut him, but to cut him, like, there's no reason to cut him right now because that cap space doesn't do anything for you, and right now, and he like I said, like, you could get an injury. Like, we see Tannehill tears ACL, and they would go with Cutler in Miami before. We saw Bridgewater, and then they traded a first-round pick for Bradford. We saw, Bradford get injured with St. Louis back in the day, and like, that could happen, right? We even saw like Andrew Luck retire in the middle of a preseason, right? Like, and then we saw him get hurt and then trade for Jacoby Brissett, right? Like, there were two separate Brissett situations where Luck was out for a whole deal of time. So I think that's what the Niners are looking for. And unfortunately, like, they played musical chairs at quarterback all offseason, and Jimmy's the one standing up.
I just don't really see a path. I mean, I think it's a good point actually around why they would potentially leak it, that they want a reason for kind of parting with him. But I don't know that they need one. I mean, the only reason you would kind of keep him around is if Trey Lance really worried you. And I don't think you have any reason to believe that that's the case. So I think it's very interesting. What I do think is a really funny narrative. So think 12 weeks into the season, Trey Lance having an incredible year. I'm just thinking about how our year gets turned upside down, Eric. You're not going to like this story. Okay. So just preparing you. Trey Lance, MVP frontrunner, tearing up the league.
I have the ticket. I don't care.
He's also running.
I like it.
And that causes him to tear up his knee. In steps Jimmy G. And a la Nick Foles, to the Super Bowl they go. And Jimmy G stays around and they win a Super Bowl. I'm just saying it would be quite an interesting ending, quite a funny ending to
is Jimmy G Folesian in that way? By the way, I went to Indianapolis to watch the Colts play the Lions. Foles started that game. It's a marvel that mother is still in the league. But is Jimmy G Folesian in that way? Like, under no circumstance would you want to play 16 games with Foles. Under no circumstances would you want to endure 17, 16 games with Jimmy anymore. But the guy's been there before. Maybe that's the role he plays in this world now.
He is Folesian. If you remember that year that he came to San Francisco and they traded for him, they didn't play him at first. They finally put him in there, and he played really well. Like, he graded really well, and had a significantly higher rate of positive graded throws than I think we'd seen in any 5-game stretch since. And so I think that's actually exactly what he is. And he's got, obviously, charisma. I think that is something that would help him in those short situations where you can ride that out a little bit more. But I think that's exactly what he is. And, he will be a backup certainly point here. But I just think, I don't know. I have this weird feeling that somehow he stays for the Niners and somehow he ends up playing. And I don't know that it's great for, long term, unless they win a Super Bowl. And even if it is, maybe it screws some things up. But I just can't see him. Can't see him finding a new home, to be honest, unless in preseason week 3, something happens. So great prognosticator. So we move on to week 3 of preseason. What are you anticipating and what are you betting?
Okay, so there are a few that I think you really do have to look at for this week. So on Thursday, you get Jordan Love laying a point on the road against the Chiefs. Part of me, and the Chiefs will play, I think, a lot of their starters, not all their starters. So the question is do you believe in Jordan Love? Do you believe in Romeo Doubs? Do you believe in some of those younger players? Or do you believe in the Chiefs for a series or two keeping a lead so big that it'll be curtains for everybody? But then we have the first Amazon game. Our colleagues Ben Lindsay and company working this one. The Niners are 3.5-point favorites on the road against the Houston Texans. I don't think the Niners are playing their guys, right? So I do think like you take a field goal or better. Mm-hmm. But here's the last one, and this one's Friday. I think you'll be close to Vegas at least by this point. The Buffalo Bills have won 10 consecutive preseason games, and they have covered 9 of those games. The Bills are 6.5-point underdogs on the road against the Art Smock and Matt Rule's Carolina Panthers. I made my piece about Phillip Walker. You have Case Keenum. You have Matt Barkley. That to me is a lock. Plus 6.5 buff. I like that one a lot.
I do like that a lot. Bitcoin Barkley, I think, is a fantastic, a great idea.
Yeah, he had to come back.
A
to
reminder
work. Funny
that there are some college football. Yeah, you hate to see it. There are some college football bets to be made for week 0. We talked about them on the last podcast, and you can go to pff.com and see them right now for an insanely good deal. And I told you how to get 25% off. So go check them out. Go do yourself a little favor. And by the way, NFL week 1 bets are up there too. And there's some tasty little numbers. We talked about some overs that we liked on the last podcast. So go get yourself a PFF subscription. Head over to pff.com and enjoy. Come be a member of the printing press. I like it. I think it has a chance to stick. So let us know what you're thinking if you like it. We've gotten some good suggestions from the squad. So thank you guys for hanging out. We love you. We will talk to you on Sunday. I guess, Eric, on Sunday or whatever we do this weekend, there will be a recap of some kind of something in Vegas. So that's a reason for people to come in and tune in. As usual, we appreciate all of you hanging out. If you can give us a little review, we obviously love that, and share if this podcast was fun for you with your friends as well. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.